Hey there, Rick Martin. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm very well. Yourself?
Excellent, man. Thanks for being here. See,
How's
Clint
the
is
audio
here. I
going
see
for us?
Ash. Yep.
How's
Audio
the
sounds
audio
good to
coming
me. Good. I might be on a slight delay due to my rural location, but yeah, the audio sounds good on my end. Am I choppy at all?
I'm gonna. No, you're fine as what I'm gathering. So you're fine. I'm going to click off of the meeting chat. And we're vocal, correct?
Yes.
Gotta love my green screen.
Sounding nice. Is that a new thing?
Well, obviously it's not put into play. We can see the shadows and the green screen, and not what I would like to have behind me other than a green sheet, but it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, man, we all got to keep producing content, The predators have been controlling the media for so long, and the internet's really thrown a wrench in their system. So I think it's so powerful to make the audio and the videos that everyone's doing. And you said you're making some film or some I don't want to, we're on the record here, so you don't have to say anything, but you made some good videos in the
No,
past.
I have no problem with that. We're working on part 2 of Suddenly Dead, and we're hoping to have that out, and it's going to be more brutal. You've got to realize what we've put together. I'm going to move the camera down just a hair. What we've put together, it's soft soaked, if you know what I'm saying. It's brutal enough to catch your attention, but what's coming out before Christmas is going to be brutal, absolutely brutal. And
yeah, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the first one, but the second. What do you
what
think the
has been
second one's going to
allowed
have
to
that the first
happen?
one didn't have? Yeah.
Well, I've been engaged in both projects, and I'm engaged in another project as well. You guys know that Dr. Dave Martin is part of Constitutional Law Group, and we're doing a lot of stuff. And the case that has the Cincinnati that has gone before the courts is we're asking questions, and those questions must be answered, because the holy crud. Time out. Yeah, I have my phone in here, crying out loud. But the questions have to be answered. The questions have to be answered. And the American people deserve answers from their public servants. And what has been going on in the United States government is disgraceful, for one. And it's unfortunate.
Even before you start, man, feel free. We're gonna say spitballing right now. I was just
we're spitballing.
Vamp until ready. We'll we're spitballing. Yes, I see.
Well, I tell you what. Let me go get another cup of coffee. Fair enough. And we're supposed to be on right now. I say we bring in a cup of coffee and
hello, everyone, and welcome to our monthly confab. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Commoner Law's Free Traveler Monthly Confab. Every first Tuesday of the month, put it on your calendar. We get together, we freedom lovers, focusing on the right to travel on our roadways and potentially in the highways, byways, and in the air. Wherever you want to go about, you should be free to go from here to there. And without asking permission from the government, without paying a fee. These are the principles that we stand for. And we're here at the source of a movement that is taking hold throughout our country, because people are starting to wake up to so many lies and so many schemes and so many misrepresentations. And they're facing so much intimidation as well that they're not really pleased about in terms of making us comply, trying to get us to comply with all of this stuff. Well, the time is up for that. And it's ever more so urgent that we, the people, take our sovereignty back and stop this forward movement into a more and more control grid dystopian future that people have been talking a lot about, predicting. The World Economic Forum and all the globalists who want to have us with digital IDs, the driver's license, the real ID, all of these IDs interlinked. Hopefully, in their world, they want to have us all chained, basically, and prisoners to our cell phones. So we are waking ourselves up. We're learning from each other. We're sharing our experience every month together. Thanks for being here, everyone. Again, I would invite you to go ahead and put in your calendar the second Tuesday of, the first Tuesday. Did I say second? The first Tuesday of every month, we'll be here together. And it only required that you register the one time, the same link. You just save it off and put it into your calendar, and you use the same link every month. So tonight, as usual, we're going to hear from you, have everyone's voices. We want to hear what's going on with you. If you're facing down the law, facing down the government, facing down the highway patrol, the sheriff, the DMV, we want to hear about your struggles. We want to hear about what you're facing, how you're battling, what solutions you have, documentation that you're using, which principles of law that you're using, whether it's successful or less than successful. We want to hear all about it, because again, we're here to learn together. I'm so happy to see everyone. People are still arriving, and so welcome to everyone. A special welcome to anybody's here for the first time. We've been doing this since spring every month, and it's been wonderful. I see a lot of regulars coming back every month, some familiar faces, familiar voices. But again, I want to thank especially those of you who are here for the first time. And I hope you gain much from our conversation. I'm here with my co-host, David James Rodriguez, big freedom advocate, famous. I saw you, David, in a recent conference that you were presenting at. Every time I go online, I see you out there preaching all the good things about freedom, and I'm glad to have you. Our special guest tonight is Rick Martin. And we've had Rick before. He's you were listening to his voice if you tuned in here a little bit early. That was Rick's voice from a previous meeting. And we're going to go further. We're going to move the ball down the field, and we're going to learn a bit more about the technical aspects of Rick's battle against the traffic violations that are all too common in our lives. We'll set the context, of course, in terms of, in case people aren't 100% clear about what is the context of these violations, supposed infractions, or what do they represent as far as the law. Most of us assume it's just a revenue generating scheme, but hopefully we'll have a chance to put in that context, and then talk about how we as individuals or even collectively can fight back against those violations and actively use the court system or oaths or other mechanisms to our advantage, and restore to the best of our ability our right to travel freely. Let's go ahead and say hi, David. Go ahead and say hi, and introduce yourself and David too. I mean, go ahead and introduce Rick, and we'll get this started.
Yes. Absolutely. Hey, Clint, thanks for hosting this and co-creating this together, because You're a freedom lover as well, myself. And we know what time it is, my friends. People that can see all around is coming up. But the good news is that here we are gathering using technology and spreading truth and vibrations of frequency and love and honesty, sincere learning. And I'm really grateful because I just was sharing a video with a friend, and the video was I'm white pilled. And you guys have heard the red pill, which is like the truth pill, waking up, and the blue pill is like go back to sleep, be a slave. The white pill is like a pill of optimism, a pill of hope, and the opposite of black pill, like it's all going to be crazy and negative. Well, I listened to a guy named Martin Armstrong the last couple days, big forecaster, and Klaus Schwab was modeling him since like the 80s. He started the World Economic Conference in 1985. Klaus Schwab started the Forum, World Economic Forum, in 1987. And there's a video on Rumble. I can put it in the link here. But the point is that he's been forecasting financial markets for a long time, very accurate. And he says, so what do you see is going to happen here? And he says, the governments are going to collapse. The dollar's going to collapse. And these Marxist centralists think they can control it all, and they can't control it all. That's the big game that these guys are going to wake up to. So you and I, the kings and queens of the earth who respect each other, believe in self-ownership, the non-aggression principle, personal responsibility for our lives. This seems to be the way forward. And I'm really grateful that Mr. Rick Martin is joining us, because if you haven't seen his videos online, some of them, one of the most inspiring one for me, and why Clint and I started this thing, is because I was doing right to travel and getting harassed and getting, railroaded in court. It's like, what are we going to do if they require a vax passport for a driver's license? I'm going to chuck that thing out here and come get some, So this is what's happening. It seems to be with the Real ID and these predators. So Rick's video, which inspired me, he pulls out the paper, "Do not tread on me" license plate on the back of his car. And he's like, oh yeah, this is the county that paid me, this money, tens of thousands, maybe $100,000, and they paid me off. So the last time we spoke, he kind of went through it, hundreds of thousands. And so, yeah, I was like, man, we got to get Rick on, because Rick, you're busy. Like you said, you're talking about part 2, this documentary died suddenly. You've got a lot of stuff on your plate. So I would thank you for taking some time. Very valuable. And of course, your website's very helpful, constitutionallawgroup.us. But we were talking about like how to go about it, because we can talk about my situation later, Clint, but I'm in the midst of filing a federal lawsuit. So I'm like, how do you go on offense? When they come after us, we're the criminal, we're the defendant. But Rick has figured out something after doing this for 30 years. And there's a 3-step process, it sounds like, Rick, where you have to do a FOIA request.
It's quite simple.
Indemnity insurer, and then yes.
Yeah,
so I'll just pass it on. So that's what we want to go on offense. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. So everybody here understands.
You bet your biscuits. You've got to go on offense.
Yes, and we're looking for solutions, because people here, and this is a confab, so like, they can share what's going on. People are being extorted, they're being kidnapped, but you are super important on the earth, Rick. And I'm so grateful that you're here.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to.
Where would you like to
be
start?
told that? I don't want to be told that, because listen, I'm here to instruct, and that's simple. And you folks out there are to do the same. We're supposed to be our brother's keeper. And what I mean by that is what you learn, you take what you learn and you instruct your brother, because your brother's ignorant. And that includes police officers. Now, you and I have had conversations, and I talked about police officers that were 17 years on the job, pulled me over. I pulled over in a Home Depot parking lot because first off, put your hazard lights on and look for a safe place, whether it's a driveway. I've never had to pull in a driveway yet, or a parking lot. Find the nearest parking lot and pull into it, because not only are you protecting the agent behind you, you're protecting yourself. Pull into a parking lot, roll your window down this much, And if you have our paperwork, you hand them the first piece of paper. The first question out of your mouth should be, what's your emergency and how may I assist you? From there, they're going to pretty much put themselves in a box that they can't get out of because A, the revenuers. And what I mean by that is they are traffic cops. We, the people, have the right to travel. This is what the whole discussion is supposed to be tonight. And let me get into this. Traffic law is the easiest law to learn. And once you've learned it, everything else is secondary. Protecting and defending your rights. Your rights are what the government was designed to do. Protect our rights, protect our borders, and coin our money. Anybody that disagrees with that, please send me an email. Because I don't know of any other function that government has. Government is second. We, the people, under God, our Creator, endowed us with unalienable rights. Those unalienable rights, we created government to protect. How well are they doing so far, folks? How well are they doing so far? Now, what I'd like to open up on this conversation is something very simple. Is courage is endowed to us as well by our Creator. We must obtain the courage to stand against tyrants that have no authority. The question I open up in any courtroom is, show me by what authority? Is there an injured party? Who's making a claim against me? If there is no claim, what are we doing here other than you usurping my rights and charging a fee to do so? Oops. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Now, do I have all the paperwork that you need to get yourself out of the game they're playing? Yes, I do. Have I been doing it? Yes, I have. But there's a bigger game going on currently, and that is world domination. The genocide. Dr. Dave Martin and I have been bringing this and the evidence forth. And that's what I need you guys to look into. Okay, is the evidence. Clear, decisive evidence of the genocide happening in America today and the world. Traffic law is minuscule. However, traffic law, once you can stand in honor with traffic law, it's the beginning. Take those plates off of your automobile. Take them off. Put up, don't tread on me. And if we stand in unison, guess what? They're going to hear us. First thing you do is take off those license plates, because those license plates gives them assumption and presumption that you're acting in commerce, for which you're not, unless you're a delivery driver, a chauffeur, or a taxi cab driver, or a delivery man. You don't need them. And that goes back to basic law. I have the right to travel unimpeded unless I am creating injury or death to my fellow man. And if I'm not creating that, what do you have to do in taking over possession of my automobile or my person, other than the fact that I've got a driver's license? I haven't, now, most people, if they don't know me, I haven't had a driver's license since 2001. That's when mine expired. I haven't had plates on my automobile. And the plates that I have on my automobile, somebody put up the picture. You guys seen my Porsche, you've seen my Lexus, you guys have seen my automobiles. And those automobiles, by the way, have been purchased because I've been trespassed on. Number one, Harris County. What is Harris County? Harris County is the third largest county in the United States. Houston being the fourth largest city in the United States. And if I can defeat Houston, you guys can defeat your counties, your states all day long by using precedent of law. The law is there to protect us, not infringe on us or trespass on us. Remember what the law is: land, air, water. God gave us, our creator, if you don't like the word God, our creator endowed us with dominion. Land, air, water. That's what law is. And we need to take back from any man created logistics, what have you, and ask the simple question. And you guys know who I am, those that ask me to be on this broadcast. There's one question: show me by what authority you have. What authority do you have over me? And when did you gain it? When did you become greater than the magnificent above, my creator? When did you become greater than that? Because law is exactly what it is: dominion. But when did a corporation, corporation, I mean, it's right in its own spelling, is a corpse. It's a dead entity. When did a dead entity hold dominion over the living? Now, I'm going to shut up for a second and I'm going to let you guys interject. Fair enough?
Yes, thanks so much for kicking us off and setting the stage for this conversation. Thanks also for the documents that you've sent to us. Hopefully we'll get a chance to display those to folks and go through them. I think there's some very important information in them, the nuts and bolts, in fact, of the philosophy that you have for beating back these infractions. Is that correct?
They're not infractions. They're actually trespasses. That's government coming out of its God-blessed box and impeding on the rights of we the people, which they have no authority to do. And if we continue to consent, we're only governed by our consent. Now, this is something that was brought up earlier, and I don't mean to be so vicious on this, but it's what I stand on.
Yes.
Is I am only governed by my consent. And until you can show me otherwise, that there's an injured party, what are we doing here, folks? We are self-governing people. We are supposed to be self-governing people. Now, the Constitution does give us unlimited ability to contract, but go back to contract 101. There must be the preparer and the acceptor of that contract, and there must be full disclosure. And what we've been under right now is contract law 101, but it's all based on fraud. We have not been given full disclosure of the contract, nor is there the signature of the preparer. Somebody tell me I'm a liar.
Very good. Very good. So yes, we've got a couple of documents from you. One is a right to travel primer, really, with a lot of wonderful definitions of all the relevant terms and the court, some of the court rulings, court cases that are relevant. And then we have a notice of violation as well, the constructive notice. So do you want to share those with folks right now? Do you want to just put them in, just give them to people and they can enjoy them after our time together tonight?
Clint, I'm leaving the floor open to you, my brother.
Good. Well, I do. There's this. I do want to share some of these ideas.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So here we are in. We have a. Let's see. I think actually I like this other. There's two documents you've given us. This one is called. Real quick here. It's a nice, juicy, long. It's called Driver's Licensing versus Right to Travel. And, you know, I was looking actually, well, here you have rights. You're defining these terms, which is what people really need. As you said earlier, it's through ignorance that they perpetrate this fraud upon us. So once we understand, once we learn these distinctions, what are rights? What are, I think you said a victim. It's a victim is
Clint, can you stop for a second?
Yes.
I've got to correct some of your speech, and it's Michelle. She's part of our team. She will tell you, I cannot handle the word understand. The word understand means I'm beneath you. I stand under you. When a judge asks, Mr. Martin, do you understand your rights as I've read them to you? Absolutely not. I'm quite aware of my rights. Now, are you, judge, going to protect those rights as you sworn to do so?
Very good. Thank you.
That's a pet peeve of mine. That's a pet peeve of mine.
You're not alone.
Do not use their words.
I get it.
You.
Yes,
and I'll let you proceed from there.
Well, yeah. So I do comprehend the difference, and I
we have to retrain our own minds to
good.
Get off of their language, because words have meaning. Words have meaning. They cast spells or they don't. Make sense?
Yes. So yeah, I just did a search for the word understand in the document sentence just to see how you might use it. But we comprehend things, we learn things. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that we're ignorant and we need to go from being ignorant.
I know, and I cut you off. I apologize.
No, that's fine. It's a fine distinction. I just want, I'm really excited about people, you know, coming. We don't know how ignorant. That's the problem. Is we're not only ignorant, we're ignorant that we're ignorant. We don't know that we're ignorant. We don't know what we don't know. And that's what's so mind-blowing and so engaging as well, and so empowering when you do finally learn what rights really mean. And as you have pointed out in our previous conversation, where do our rights come from, for example? You know, so some people may have a general understanding of rights, thinking that they are granted to us by the Constitution, and we here know better than that. It comes from our Creator. So those kinds of distinctions,
unalienable.
Unalienable. But let's see, there's this really good, what did I like this one section here? If there's any section that you want to focus on, just let me know. But what was it here? Was it due process is juicy? That's some good. People really
Due
need.
process is everything.
Yes, let's
It truly is.
do a mini primer on due process because it's so critical to everything. Yes, let's do that one. 1 second. Due process of law guaranteed to us.
As you're looking it up, as well, the Constitution is a contract. The contract is from where they can govern. Okay, that's quite clear. We delegated limited authority to government. Does it not say that? We delegated limited authority. So if I delegate something, if I delegate the neighbor's kid to mow my lawn every Saturday, however, my lawn looks like crap on Wednesday, and I go out there and I mow my own lawn, is my neighbor's kid going to come over here and fine me $25 for mowing my own lawn? I should hope not, because I only delegated him to go into my garage and get my lawnmower and mow every Saturday. We have the right to self-protection. Self-protection. If I delegate a sheriff or a peace officer to wear a gun on his hip, when did I have to get licensed? Remember this, folks. A license is to do something immoral and be sanctioned by the government to do so. Is it immoral for me to have self-protection? These are questions that we need to bring back to the legislature and show me by what authority do you have to limit what I delegated to you? And when did you have authority to impose sanctions on me? When did you have the authority to tell me I need a license to do this? And what's a license? One more time, Clint, you heard it.
It's a tax.
To do something immoral and be sanctioned by a government. The only thing I recollect in all my readings of the past 33 years is this: the government has the authority to regulate commerce. We gave that to them. Other than that, I don't know what, Judge, I really don't know what I'm doing in this courtroom, because I believe I was trespassed on. And somebody better indemnify me to the tune of $280,000 for my night in jail.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, one of the biggest
And
questions.
guess what?
One of the biggest mysteries to me.
Guess what?
Go ahead.
Why are we going after them in court? They all have indemnified bonds, right? Or they should, for them to hold office or public positions, correct? You guys are doing it wrong. The way I get paid is I go after their indemnity bond. You'll be held up in court for 10 to 11 years if you go after them and their private capacity. You'll be held up. All you got to do is file a formal affidavit complaint with the insurance company that holds their bond. And let me explain what happens. Once you file a formal complaint, give them 21 days to rebut An unrebutted affidavit stands as fact in law. You guys all know this. Michelle knows this. Okay. You file a formal complaint against the bond and you demand to be indemnified. What happens is they have to pay you. Once they pay you, because if they can't rebut your claim in a form of an affidavit, oops, that sucks for them. In other words, they will act in treason and basically perjure themselves. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me slow down for a second. When I go after these scumbags, and we need to start, and I've watched videos earlier today. We need to clean up our language. We need to at least confront these so-called peace officers with better language. Okay. I don't like the F word being the F bombs. I don't, I'm not appreciative to it. Those that are following what I do, stop engaging in such a manner that is abrasive. Tell them what their duty is and leave it at that. Don't harass. Don't engage in such a manner that is distasteful to the rest of us. Don't use F-bombs. Don't get into name calling, because when it comes down to it, when you start doing that, it makes us look bad. Okay? And I got some bonehead calling me. Where I'm going with this, go ahead. Bring me back on track, please, Clint.
Well, there's just so many wonderful things to talk about. We definitely want to get to your 3 steps to holding these people to account once they've violated your rights and presumed to regulate you as if you're commercial. But I do have a ongoing question in my mind. I constantly am asking how we got here. I mean, I know it's been a slippery slope in some ways.
Ignorance. We got here because we were ignorant.
Indeed.
And it is, like I said in the very beginning, it is the duty to be your brother's keeper and educate them wisely on how to properly defend their rights against tyranny and injustice. Mm-hmm. That's simple.
I guess the way I look at it is, I like to think that there's a time in the past that I could go back to and I could look for as an example of a time when people had all of these concepts and they were living them on the whole, like the whole of society was just free to travel. And that's the way people thought of it. And then somehow or other, there was a switcheroo, that we became as if we were subject to commercial regulation. And, I just... 1925, what happened?
1925. And what happened? That's when a driver's license came into play. Okay. And that was only for commercial travel. That's when you're using the roadways under commerce. And does the state have the right to regulate commerce? Yes, it does. So we've got truck drivers out there that are overweighted. They have stress cracks in their trucks. They are tearing up the roadways because they're overweighted, and they're causing harm to the public. Just like a marriage license, the United States government realized that they could make money from licensing. Now, let's go all the way back. And I know this is crazy, but let's go back to a marriage license. Do you know what a marriage license was started off as? That was when a man or woman of a different race or culture wanted to marry outside of their race or culture. They needed to have a license to be sanctified by the government to do so. How many people knew that? Marriages were recorded in the family Bible. You didn't need permission from the government to marry somebody. And all of a sudden, they decide, hey, we're making money on this one. Let's keep it going. Driver's license. Oh, well, we're only in the very beginning, we're only regulating commerce. But hey, let's get a license plate on, the Ford Model T. It came in one color, black. You walk out of a grocery store. Well, there wasn't really grocery stores back then, but I digress. Your automobile looked like everybody else's automobile. So now we can put a number on the back of it. That's yours. That's his. We're helping the public. Really? I'd say put a Roadrunner sticker on your front windshield and don't pay the government to identify your own automobile. I might be going off on a tangent, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just I understand the licenses came into play, and I understand. Like, I thought I learned that for the first licenses or plates were for government just to manage their own motor vehicle fleets, and then it was moved to the commercial realm, and so yeah, trucks and maybe taxis and other people using the roadways for commercial, they came under regulation. But I'm just that
under, yeah. And the bottom line is, if you're using the public property for profit, you can be sanctioned. You have to follow within their construct. But if I'm not using the public roadways for profit, I'm going to the store to go get a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread, who's paying me?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, we go back to common law, and you and I both agree on what common law is. If there's not an injured party, what are we doing here? Common sense dictates how we should conduct ourselves in a public realm. Government's duty is exactly what I said it was earlier. Coin our money, defend our borders, and to protect the rights of we the people. What are they doing in healthcare? What are they doing in welfare? Let's go into this. Mom and dad are old. It's not the duty of the government to take care of them. They took care of us until we reached the age of majority of 18. It's our duty to take care of them as they got elderly. It is the duty of the church to bring forth welfare, widows, orphans, and the poor, because we tithe for that reason. Am I correct on what I'm saying?
Yes.
When did it become the duty of the government? Because obviously they don't do a really good job now, do they? I would say that every time you introduce government into your life, you're going to get injured.
Very good. So yeah, we've just been falling for it for decades. Even before I was born, everyone around me had already determined that we need to comply with regulations on the roadway that were previously just for commercial. And that to me, it's still that switcheroo that they did to get people. I don't know how it took a generation, or did it take a year? I mean, we saw what happened in the last couple of years.
Several generations.
How
Several
long
generations.
for people to hear, oh, you have to go get a license if you want to drive. Well, I'm not a commercial driver. Oh, now even though you're not commercial, you too have to go get a driver's license. I kind of wish I was around in those days so I could have been the guy saying, no, stop that fraud from starting at its inception. But
okay, how about Social Security? Let's go back to that. I hear people all the time, well, I'm not a government employee. Really? Do you accept Social Security? Of course. Well, that's a government retirement fund. Now, if you go back and do the research on Social Security, what does it say? It was elective. I didn't have to take it. It was elective. Well, for you to have a bank account, you have to have Social Security. For you to have this, you have to have Social Security. And what does it say on that Social Security card? You guys need to read that Social Security card. You really do. It's unlawful for you to even display it. Oops. Miss Martin, you're under arrest. Okay, great. What's your Social Security number? Who says I have one? Who says I had one? What's your driver's license number? Who says I have one? All those are bringing me into a benefit that I never accepted. Benefits that are outside my unalienable rights. I don't accept any benefits. Government is there to ensure my rights are protected. And the moment they start trespassing and saying, I receive benefits, go back to this. Go back to this. I don't accept anything other than you protecting my rights, coining my money, and protecting my borders. And until you do that, I decide to defund you. All your agencies not under my authority. We the people. You want to take back a nation. You listen to what we've been saying for 30 years. I'm not going to get into Donald Trump. I'm not going to get into JFK Jr. I'm not going to get into any of that. But I'm going to tell you this. We're under military occupation. And we the people need to hold ourselves accountable. And we need to start recreating our communities under our sheriff. And I said this before. Anybody that brings up any videos of me 30 God blessed years ago, you'll see exactly what I said. County charters. Look at the county charters. Look at what a quo warranto is. Those county charters are all based on the Constitution. We the people, going back to the county charters, what gave any authority to anyone, goes back to the county charters. Look at your sheriff. Your sheriff is the chief executive of defending the rights that you are endowed with by your creator.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much again, Rick, for being here and sharing your wisdom with us. I want to go ahead and open up the conversation to the folks who've joined us and see if they have any specific questions or comments about what you've said. If you want to raise your hand, that'd be helpful. I see some folks in the comments section, as well as Darlene holding up something. I didn't quite see it, but I hope we'll get on that. But
I see hands.
let's start with Connie. Connie has been with us for several months now, and it's always great to hear your voice.
Hi there.
Speak up real strong now.
All righty. Hold on a second. I'm just finding a place to pull over. Just a second.
She's traveling.
I am
Yes.
traveling,
It's
sir.
not
Yes, I
driving,
am.
she's traveling.
I'm a blonde in a red car, so watch out. Anyway,
God bless.
I appreciate all that you've said, and I really am, trying to tell people. And I did not get pulled over recently, but I wanted to ask a question. I mean, I have 2 or 3 times, but not recently. I have a question about ID. I don't want to give my ID to anyone unless I have committed a crime, harmed someone, or actually harmed property. So what is your take on that, sir?
Okay. When I've been pulled over, which it's happened, the way I handle it is make sure your doors are locked, first off.
Right, of course.
And roll up all your windows except for your window, and keep it at about, I'm seeing me on the screen,
To 4 inches.
about an inch. Okay. And I'll tell you the reason why that is.
Mhm.
Is because if this policy enforcer, he's gonna try to escalate the situation. And he's gonna say he smells alcohol, he smells marijuana, whatever.
I got exactly that from a sergeant. I told you, I should tell you what I said to him after he did that. Can I tell you that?
Go right ahead.
I said, sir, where is the, what's your probable cause? There's nothing coming out of this car. I'm a teacher. I'm very sober and I don't do any of that. And where's the corpus delicti? He was out of there in a shot. All 4 officers left my van.
Well,
Okay,
corpus
go
delicti is a
Connie.
great thing to bring up. Where's the injured party? Who is making a valid claim against me under penalty of perjury? If there's not corpus delicti, and that's what the Constitution was all about to begin with. And we've got to hold these public servants accountable. But go ahead.
Yeah, so the ID doesn't have to.
Your question was, once again?
Yeah, the ID. I don't really want to give my ID to these thugs anymore because they don't deserve it, actually. So what do you do normally?
Okay, let's go back to, do you have plates?
Yeah, my plate says DOT number such and such. I had another plate that was fancy schmancy, was confiscated by the thugs in Naples, Florida, and I was thrown into the slammer for 2 weeks for nothing. So got out of there, but my plate now says my DOT number, which is registered. They can look it up.
Well, I don't know why I register anything, because once you register something, you give possession to it.
Okay, because I was thinking of getting
Once you register anything, whether it's a name or it's an automobile, you give state possession of it.
Right.
Now, where I would go with look that up. If I'm mistaken, please, somebody show me I'm mistaken.
I think you're right. And
But
it's
I
a
believe,
contract. I think it's a contract, sir.
Absolutely. And I'm giving authority over my private property. I don't think I want to do that. I
No,
don't
and
want to register anything.
but I feel like I would be more
Well, let's
suspicious
go.
if I didn't have a plate there at all. I mean, what is your take on that?
We as a people should be more suspicious of anything that the government does,
Okay, you're
because
right.
I haven't seen the government do anything. I mean, the
Uh,
government takes in billions and billions of dollars. Clint, next segment that we put together, I want you to look up the CAFA report.
Oh, yes, I've been
That's
talking to him.
CAFR.
Yes, I've been talking to the gentleman who created it. Yes.
And how that how that comes into play.
Exactly. Yes. Very interesting. Yep. They've got all kinds of money.
And how about well, policing for profit?
Right. Exactly. I agree.
Policing for profit.
Mhm.
And you know, the prison system.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing that needs to be looked into. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
When
I've been,
we're
there.
throwing people's lives away
Exactly.
on they've never committed a crime. What is
Well,
a crime? What's the definition of a crime? There's an
exactly.
injured party, correct?
Right. That's right. And yet, they,
And the United States has what? The greatest population of its population in prison. And what is it? 89%, I believe was the last I heard. 89% of them
it's big. Yeah.
never attacked another human being.
Yeah.
I hate
hung
the
out
word
with
human being.
I hung out with those gals in two jails, two county jails, and they're all innocent. I'm a highly educated lady, and they kept telling me we've never had a master's degree in here and some kind of nonsense like that. But I talked to the gals, and they're all innocent. I don't see much. A couple of them hung out with their boyfriends, and they had triple felonies because the guys were selling. So and they couldn't be a nurse. This couple of gals couldn't be nurses. They wanted to do that. It's ridiculous. It needs so much reform, and I'm a teacher, a high school teacher, and we needed reform 10, 20 years ago. We screamed about it, and now look at the mess. So, there's reform needed all over the place. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, and we've got transgenders torting with our kindergarten kids.
Oh, yeah, they've been hired for an agenda. They have not been hired on merit. I don't think it sounds like they've been hired for an agenda.
I think most of us that are wise enough that grew up in a good household are realizing the insanity going on before us is these people that are torquing in front of our offspring are pedophiles. And we should be, as a people, outraged.
All right.
When
let's
I think the whole
Go ahead.
Yaga stuff.
there's so many topics that so
Yeah.
many things going wrong in the world today. We could do that. Let's see if there's some conversation around the right to travel from Darlene.
Oh, you would put me on a spot like that.
You
No,
betcha.
couple things. First of all, I am new to you guys. So today is my first day. I'm a newbie.
Welcome.
Hi. I was showing you during Rick was speaking, the back of a social security card.
Mm.
This is in Ohio. Okay. I called
The
up my
red number.
local. Excuse me, sir. Oh, I don't know what he
Yeah,
said.
the red numbers.
Yeah. Well, no, what I was going to say is if you ever read the back of the card, It tells you that any government agency that asks for your number must tell you whether giving it is mandatory or voluntary, its authority for requesting the number, and how the number is used. They never once have I ever been asked or anything about they use it for identification. That's what it's for. I just wanted to bring up that point. And the other point is, Mr. Martin, you were speaking earlier about driving, on, the automobile.
Traveling, I never drive.
I know what you mean. I don't speak.
I know, I'm just
properly.
being,
Excuse me,
and-
I think we are on a delay, excuse me.
So you were
yeah, the right to travel,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
right to travel.
I actually was one of those that were stopped for DUI in Ohio.
Okay,
I actually went and lost my license, so now I don't have one. It is suspended. It's a long process that I went through, but I just wanted to make a point that if anybody does have a license to operate their vehicle in Ohio, that under Ohio law, the codes, it does say that that your car, if it is not registered, you do not have to have insurance. I was just letting people know about that subject. So I don't know. I'm nervous. I had more to say, but I won't interrupt. It's a
no, you're
pleasure.
doing fine.
Uh,
You're doing fine. And what I'm going to get at is, by what authority do I have to have a driver's license to begin with? And I think that was the whole topic of what this conversation was supposed to be about, was about the right to travel. And I'm glad you brought us back on point with that. They have no authority to engage with you unless you are reckless and you're causing harm to the public, because their duty is to protect the public from harm. And what we're seeing lately is the only harm that's coming across is these guys that believe that that little badge and that gun, they can be road pirates. And that's what it is road piracy.
Yeah, isn't that
Do
right?
you know what a cruiser is? Do you know what a cruiser was? You're gonna love this. When I say road pirates, you're gonna love this. A cruiser was a little boat that was used by pirates to go attack big boats.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not kidding you.
Mm-hmm.
They would roll out all these little boats from their boat to go attack a big boat, and they were called cruisers, to overtake a bigger ship and rob them of their booty. And no, I'm not talking their butts.
Their booty.
But that's what they did.
Well, yeah, so you're talking about Quaranto and using the color of law. And I believe that, David, isn't that basically the angle that you're going after them? You're going on the offensive now because you're saying what they did under the color of law was infringement of your rights. Am I getting that right?
Well, yeah, I'm heard that a few times, quote or warranto, but I'm going to use a Title 42 federal civil lawsuit, and this is where I think Rick was like, just go after the bonds. So, you know, we have different options, and we got to try something. That's the purpose of gathering, you know, to learn. And Rick has more experience. So I'm like, part of me is like, oh, I'll just forget the federal lawsuit and go after the bonds. You know, when I hear Connie's story of getting kidnapped, it's no joke. You know, when you get kidnapped, like you said, 280 grand for being in a jail cell. I got arrested multiple times the last few years, and I had no recourse. And so I don't know if there's a statute of
All you had to do was
limitations
call
on
me.
filing the claim against.
I know I'm
Oh,
interrupting. My apologies, but yeah. Bottom line is, all I would have told you straight up is go after their indemnity bond. And the question that you're going to throw out there is, show me by what authority did you have to even trespass on me? I spent the night in jail. That's what unlawful kidnapping. And the officer had a gun, correct? So that's assault and battery, is it not? And as I go down through all these things that have happened to me unlawfully with no authority, every officer has an indemnity bond to protect the public against infringement on rights. Now it's up to the insurance company that holds that bond to rebut my sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury in the form of an affidavit under penalty of perjury that my allegations are incorrect. This is how we do it, folks.
Yeah.
Screw court. Judges are corrupt. Prosecutors are corrupt. You want to prosecute your case? You do it this way. You listen to me on what I just said. You hold the insurance company that holds that bond accountable. And guess what happens? Now, if I'm a public servant and I have a bond and the bond company pays out, I am beholding to the bond company to pay that money back. And if I don't pay that money back, I can no longer be a public officer, correct? Because I'm no longer bondable. Oops. You want to know how I get judges off the bench? That's how I do it, folks.
By going after
Because
the
I go
bonds.
after the judge's bond and I get paid, and that judge cannot repay that bond and no longer are bondable.
All right, let's take another.
I know you're writing notes.
Let's take another question.
Is that just as simple as the FOIA request, and then just identify who is the
Absolutely.
insurance for the judge, and then you might get affidavit, notarize it, and send it to them, and then give them 21 days to respond, and then just follow
Absolutely.
up.
What I do, David, I'll be honest with you. What I do is I give them 21 days. And after the 21 days are up, I will send them another notice, giving them 72 hours to rebut again. So when it comes down to it, I've already given you 21 days to rebut. I gave you another 3 days, 72 hours to clarify anything that you don't know anything about, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm demanding on the 26th day, I'm demanding payment. Because that goes back to contract law. I've given you every opportunity.
It's a great program. We might have, I would like to just design a specific, period where we simply go through it bit by bit, step by step, and have everyone understand every single bit of it. This is kind of an introduction.
What I'd like to
Full in
do
the
is
water.
get the paperwork out there. I'd like to get the paperwork out there so all your viewers can follow suit on exactly what we're doing. And you guys pretty much know who I am. I don't charge for what I do. Dr. David Martin and I have both been bankrupted by our wonderful government for what we do.
That's intriguing.
And
let's
it's
see.
not intriguing. It's a pain in the ass.
Well, I wouldn't have thought that.
Pain in the ass.
Tell him. Give us 60
Yeah.
seconds if you would, Rick, because you told me the other day. Tell him what happened.
When I walked out of court, when Dr. Dave Martin and I walked out of court back in October of last year, not this year, our bank accounts were seized. And we don't even know who seized them. Our credit cards were shut down. Listen, they're coming after us for one reason. We're giving you guys the truth, and we're showing you how to fight back, and they're coming after us. By the grace of God, I had $600 in my pocket when I gave them my debit card. Now my account was just under $7 million. I was independently wealthy. I didn't want to be in this fight. I was trying to retire in 2016. And what happened in 2016, I got a phone call from a friend of mine, ex-special forces buddy, said they stole my daughter. And that's when I uncovered the child trafficking rings. Listen, folks, I'm tired. I never in my wildest dreams believed America would be this foolish to just give up its rights, shut down their businesses. This whole COVID scamdemic. I never saw this coming. And when they shut down Texas on March 19th, my 50th birthday, I had 120 of my special forces buddies showing up in San Antonio. And the restaurant that I had paid for out there on the Riverwalk wouldn't even open and never gave me back my deposit. And that's when Dr. Dave Martin and I started the Reopen America tour. And if you guys think I've been making money, you guys are smoking crack on your weekends. I've given up. I've lost just about everything except for my pride and my word of honor. And I'll tell you this, I need more people to stand up and defend their brothers. We need patriots. We need heroes. And I'll be tired. I know what I just said. I'll be tired. Yeah, I am. Michelle puts up with me. I'm tired. I've lost everything. But I didn't lose my self-respect, standing for a nation for which I believe in. And our founding fathers You've heard me give that speech. 56 men signed that Declaration of Independence. We the people shall be held accountable, not only to each other, but we have a creator. What did you do to defend my people? Good question. When did you step up to the plate to defend we the people? And I hope that haunts your soul.
Well, with that, we do want to get some other folks' voices in here, and maybe Nicholas, if you can join us in this this moment with Rick Martin as he really tells us what's going on.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming.
Oh, wow. Well, I wouldn't miss it. I've been following Rick for years. It's the first chance I've ever gotten to actually talk to him. But no, he brought up the right to travel and everything. I know that's the topic of discussion tonight.
And we kind of got off track, didn't we? Yeah, I'm still here.
It's all good.
And I apologize. I got off track.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Go ahead.
But something else that a lot of people, I learned this from another teacher of mine. When they want to issue when the police officer on the side of the road wants to issue a ticket, he's actually issuing the security, which he's not licensed to do.
A security, as in an instrument, financial instrument.
Yep.
I see.
Well,
because to my knowledge,
correct. You're semi-correct.
Okay.
You're semi-correct on that.
Okay.
Here's what you're going to do. Once he's brought that instrument out there, who actually signs for it? The county clerk. What you're going to do is you're going to subpoena the county clerk to be a witness for you. And you're going to question that county clerk on the witness stand. And I think I brought that out there, that something that Eddie Craig and I devised back in 2009. If it's not there, I will get it up. I promise you. How we question the county clerk, that at the same time, we're questioning the county clerk. What's going to happen is we throw the judge, prosecutor, arresting officer under the bus. And we show a RICO Act. Now, anybody that goes through with that, just go get a bulletproof vest. The courts are RICO. And I prove it all day long.
Good luck trying to not prove it. That'd be more of a fight.
I have all the evidence. You go to my website. We have all the evidence that what's going on is RICO.
Oh, I believe you 110%. I'm just saying, like, trying to argue that it's not is going to be a waste of someone's time.
Right. I misunderstood what you said.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that they are. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it's all racketeering.
Yeah, because
everybody knows. Go ahead.
No, the only reason that I haven't gotten rid of my plates and everything yet is because I'm a commercial driver. So I do that when.
Well, there you go. There you go. Self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. You are a driver. You do owe the public a license and a fee to maintain the roadways, correct?
Oh, no argument. I drive for a private company, so in a work truck.
There you go.
But when I'm in my own private automobile, I'm not engaged, like you said, I'm not engaged in commerce.
Correct.
But like you said, I still have to have the license, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day, it is commerce.
No, you don't.
Oh no, I mean to
No,
perform my
if
function.
you're on the public highway, no, you're only licensed when you're engaged in commerce. If you're
Correct.
out there in the public domain, taking your family to the park doesn't apply to you.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not always a driver. I'm not a driver
Correct.
24/7. The same
Correct.
logic that a police officer, a man who acts as a police officer, he is not always a police officer. Maybe 10 hours a day, he's a police officer, and then he takes the costume off.
Mhm. Yes.
He's supposed to be a peace officer.
Oh, he's
His
usually the
duty is to uphold. His duty is supposed to be doing what?
protecting our rights.
What is the duty of a? No. His duty is to uphold the peace. That's what a peace officer license is.
Gotcha.
All right, Nicholas, thank you very much. Anything else today?
Oh, no, that's it. Thank you. I want to give somebody else a chance to talk.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. See you
Oh,
again.
absolutely.
Every first Tuesday, we're here discussing the right to travel, learning from one each other. Sounds like you have a lot to offer, so I'd love to see you back.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, would love to be back.
Okay, thanks. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks for being patient, Jason.
Thank you to all you folks for showing up very much. And I'm going to run by a little something that happened at the beginning of the year. So I took one of my cars out, the one that's not registered, the one that's not insured, and just driving around town and are traveling around town operating this device. Anyway, so a little early in the morning, sideswiped a parked car, parked there to.
So you created damage.
I did, yes, in the other person's vehicle.
Okay. Now you have to be held accountable.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm all
Correct.
for being held accountable. So, I mean, it all just, I get out and I look at the car, like, oh, well, okay. So I'm thinking, okay, get out a little note and paper, say, here's me, I hit your car, I was going to do that thing. But it was right in front of their house. They came out and they're like, how'd you do that? Well, just once in a while you have a brain fart or whatever. Anyway, so I had, as I mentioned, not insured, not registered, and I do have a license, to driver's license, not from the state I live in, but the neighboring state. And she asked for that and I didn't have it. And she was a little perplexed. Anyway, she handled it fairly well, but she called the municipal police right away. And I was like, okay, they came. And they see, and I tell them the whole story, and they kind of scratch their head, and then they give me a fix-it ticket for insurance and license, and say just you show this to any uniformed officer, they can write it off. I send in a little fine, and you're good, right? So in the meantime, I'm also told the gal, like, I can pay you out of cash today. Just give me a number or give me an estimate, take it to your guy, whatever.
Right.
So I went home and so
you
put that car
tried
in
to
insurance.
facilitate.
And so then
You tried to facilitate them with a fee, correct?
yeah, so
Now
I
listen to what I'm saying.
yes.
Yeah, you try to remedy the incident, correct?
Yes.
Just say yes,
Yes.
because I already know the answer to it. You tried to remedy it. And then the state got itself involved, correct?
Right.
When was the state damaged?
Wasn't.
That's a serious question.
Right.
When was the state damaged?
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't.
It really wasn't.
Right.
So they're trying to usurp funds that they're not allowed. Because, hey, what is the court there for? To settle controversies, yes or no? Am I speaking outside my butt or what?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that whole thing, what you just said.
The court is there to settle controversies, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. The controversy was settled by you by paying for whatever needed to be settled, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So did it have to go to court?
Right. So what happened is,
If you were automatically settling a conflict, if you already settled the conflict between you and the respondent being the one that you damaged, correct?
yes.
What authority did the state have to come in there? I mean, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. This is a great case to even bring up. And I am so thankful that you brought this to our attention. The bottom line is, when there's a dispute, we go to court. If there's not a dispute, if a man is willing to settle with the complainant outside of court,
And we did.
that's what we do. And then the court decided it wanted to get involved. Now, didn't it?
Quite.
Yeah. And they usurped their jurisdiction. They came at you with fines and fees, correct?
Yes.
Outside of the fact that you already were willing to have an agreement with the plaintiff. Clint, interject, please.
Yes,
You
I
heard
think
what was
Jason was
said.
telling us a story of how he was handling it without the need for government. He was just doing the right thing and he was taking care of business. And then the cops came and made things worse. Isn't that right, Jason?
Well, yeah. And it was funny because the cop, his attitude was super like, you know, this is something that's super low priority here for what I should be doing in this city. And understandable that the owner is like, you know, that was her default, like, you don't have an insurance or add your license, I better call the cops. Okay, I get that. And so that's where it is. And I ended up getting
Wait.
it signed off
Wait a
and
minute.
then send in the little amount of money they asked and to the court. And a few weeks later, I got it back and they said, oh, no, you owe us a way more money. And that's where it stands. And that was like 9 months ago.
Is this still ongoing litigation?
Well, I haven't heard a thing from anybody in about 9 months.
You're in what state of confusion are you in?
California Republic.
Right.
Well, definitely get with me and I will show you the paperwork. I will get you to the paperwork on how to address the situation.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you.
And, you know, this is nonsense. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. And I'll tell you why, because it makes it so right there in your face, right there in everybody that's watching's
Yeah.
face,
Mhm.
how much government is not needed if the controversy can be settled between two parties. We don't need to be in court if we have an agreement. And it's that simple.
Mhm. Right.
If I've injured you and you're willing to concede damages, then here it is. It's that simple. Then here it is.
All right, then. So go ahead, Jason. There were a couple of documents from Rick in the chat. If you download either of those, you have Rick's contact information in them.
Okay.
Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see what Natasha has for us. Go ahead, Natasha.
Hi, good evening. I have actually, if allowed, to have two questions I would like to ask Rick. So question number one is, any opinion about state national? There's a growing movement.
It's nonsense. Leave it alone. State nationals are nonsense. Okay?
So
leave it alone.
Status correction is not something that you believe in. Is that correct?
Let me tell you this. People like Anna von Reitz have been leading you incorrectly. Okay? That's simple. You, a state national, Kurt Pendergrass and myself have been talking about if you step into that platform, listen, I'm a man of my word. My man is my bond. My word is my bond. This whole state national nonsense is exactly what I said it was 30 God blessed years ago. Nonsense. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my bond. And it's the duty of the prosecution to call me a liar. That's simple. Don't go through all this process of changing your status. Your status is only what you say it is. Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, I understand. I just wanted to hear your opinion because, and I'm not talking about Anna von Rentz, there are multiple other people, and they are reporting that people with a corrected status are basically just left alone by the police. Like they stop them and then they see them in their LexisNexis and they leave them alone.
Yeah, well, here's where I go, is your status is what you say it is.
Sure.
That's simple. And law is not that difficult. Law is simple. Bar attorneys have made it difficult. If I say I'm a man, it's up to them to call me a kangaroo. Am I correct? Prove that I'm a kangaroo.
Hi, good evening, folks. Welcome to Monday Night.
That's Kurt. I hear Kurt in the background. Somebody playing Kurt.
Yeah, you're talking to Natasha. She is very exacting and she's very well researched on many things. And she's into so what was your second question, Natasha? Oh, I see you're not. Let me unmute you again. Go ahead, Natasha.
Sorry. My second question is, so this is very interesting about bonds for the judges and stuff. And I wanted to ask Rick about, I had a case related to job being fired for non-compliance with so-called COVID policies. And Clint is aware of, law case. We worked on it together. And what ended up happening, I filed it after multiple attempts to file it through the municipal court. I ended up filing, which I was not able to do. I ended up filing with the federal court. And
Okay,
and I wrote when
because of which statute?
Violation of constitutional rights.
Okay, and we're
The,
talking state or federal constitutional rights.
I believe these were federal. I mean, it's state constitution was also violated, so it was both. As I was writing the case, I quoted both.
And who are you filing against?
The president of the university.
Okay, so there's a controversy there between you and the university, correct? And are they accepting federal funding?
It's a good question. They're probably
No, I would pretty much assume that they are, but you need to bring forth that they're accepting federal funding.
well.
Okay, now listen to what I'm saying on this. Show that they're accepting federal funding. And then show that they're in on accordance to the federal jurisdiction and that they have violated the federal constitution. Let's not go state on this. Show that they have.
Well, it makes
Knowingly, the word is knowingly and willingly violated your rights because you gave notice. Whether
Yeah.
you gave notice or not is now you need to give notice.
I gave notice. I went through the whole process.
You did give
Yeah.
notice. Okay.
However, my question
That's
is
what
not
I'm
about
asking.
that. My question is about the fact that my case was rejected. And what happened was when I
By
filed
who?
by
Who?
by the judge. And the
What
reason
judge? Federal or state judge?
federal judge. And the reason was
You call me.
huh?
You call me. This cannot be settled by a simple question.
Well,
This
no,
is going to be settled by
but let me finish my question, Doric. So
certainly.
I would love to call you, but I just wanted to tell you the story. So when I filed the case, because I felt that as I'm coming in sui juris, I do not have to pay. So I wrote an explanation as to why I'm declining to pay. And the clerk accepted the filing and I got the case number. And then later on, I received an email that my case was canceled for failure to pay. So they wanted me to pay.
Okay.
And so what I was wondering about, would that be a good reason to file against the judge's bond for depriving me of the due process?
Not yet. Not yet, but it will be. Not yet. We have to gather more evidence. Okay. Can we put that judge in a stronghold? Yes, we can. But let's conduct the news correctly. Let's give the judge an opportunity to correct his stance.
So basically write another notice to the judge this time.
Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. I need to know more about the case than I can talk about or discuss
Okay,
in an
sure.
open forum.
Sure, that will be
I need to
perfect.
know more about the case before we get into an open forum. Fair enough?
Absolutely. So I can reach out to that website.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you too,
I'm
Natasha.
sorry I can't, I'm sorry I can't answer the question right now,
Sure, sure. No,
but we
no,
will
I understand.
find remedy.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go to Abra now. Hi, Abra. Thanks for coming back. How are
Hey
you?
there. Sorry, I was on the phone. I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing dandy. Fine and dandy.
So I have tons of questions, but I'm just want to stick to one. So I've been traveling with no driver's license, and I'm getting ready to get rid of my plates and all that. And I want car insurance. Where is it possible to get auto insurance? if
You don't get car insurance, number one. I'm going to stop you at there. You go and get an indemnity bond against yourself, your woman, your person. Go get an indemnity bond.
From
That
where?
covers you.
Where would that be from? Where do you get an indemnity bond?
Well, I hate using this one, but Lloyd's of London.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts me by saying that.
So then it'll pay for damage to me or the other person?
No, it takes care of any damage done. However, the bond company pays out the damage. Now the bond company comes after you for recompense. Okay?
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to, I want. car
That's
insurance.
exactly what I do to judges.
Okay, but I'm gonna go back
Judges,
to, I don't want that. I do like having car insurance. So is there any companies that will insure us if we don't have a license and registration? Because they
You're
take care
breaking
of
up.
everything. Pardon?
insurance is commerce to begin with.
Right?
Insurance is commerce. If you have car insurance, you're pretty much stating that you're in commerce. If you're bonded, that's a whole different aspect. Now, if I injure you, okay, wouldn't you like for me to pay you, or would you just want an insurance check? And
Well,
oh God, this is,
well, but I
this
mean,
is screwed up. But listen, this is where we have to become Americans, and we have to be held accountable for our actions.
okay, but what about if somebody hits
And what I
me
mean
and
by
hurts me?
that is there's no God blessed freebie. If I injured you and I caused you $50,000 in damage, I have a bond that pays it, and now I'm accountable for that $50,000. There's no easy walk out of this. It's not insurance. You're either in or out. And what I said was we all must be held accountable for our actions.
Okay, so say
If you
somebody,
don't want to be held accountable, you get insurance, which brings you back into the commercial transaction. And most of the insurance companies won't pay. And you, in the end, will be held accountable for the
okay,
debt.
so what if somebody else harms me and, they don't have insurance?
Do they have property?
Right, okay. I guess I'm gonna have to do more research on this because there's gotta be.
No, do they
insurance
have
companies that-
property? That's the question.
Well,
Do
a
they
lot of
have
them don't
property?
know. I know, the handful of, I'm 57 now, and the handful of car accidents I've gotten into over the years, the insurance takes care of everything. You don't have to do anything. It's easy. And, you pay into
Well,
it.
that's the way Satan plays it. It's easy. Oops. It's
There's-
easy.
Yeah, there's gotta be insurance companies that'll insure you if you don't have a license.
Know what insurance is. Know what insurance is. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's up to you to do your due diligence and find out what insurance is and what it is not. And by having insurance, what that makes you. That's simple.
Covered? Covered in case?
Yeah, Aubrey, it sounds to me like what we commonly think of insurance may not be. So maybe scratch the surface a bit there. And we'll have to get creative. Maybe we need a private membership association with a bond so we can, because I think what you're talking about, the benefit is that the risk is distributed across a collection of people who are under the same insurance, company. And that's what you're looking for. Whether that
Dr. Dave Martin and I brought this out. You guys keep wanting to go after the banks and the banksters. And what Dr. Dave Martin and I have been telling you guys is the insurance companies that are putting the banks up there.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn about
Yes.
insurance companies. Let's do a whole expose on insurance companies one day. But thanks for that question, Abra. And please, if you have some research between now and next Tuesday, first Tuesday of January, love to hear from you.
Well, I do have some stuff I'd like to talk to you in person about an experience that I've had that led me to all this, and then another person that you may want to have come in and do a presentation. So I've emailed you before and never heard anything back though, so.
All right, well,
We're listening. Fair enough.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely connect up even this week if you like.
Okay, I'll send you an email right now. What's your email address?
info@commonerlaw.com.
Okay,
All right, thanks, Abra.
thank you.
Yeah, have a good evening.
You too.
Victor Wayne, how do you do?
Howdy do, Clint. Nice to see everybody and hear all your comments. Aubrey, I wanted to make a comment to her that's limited. Insurance is limited. In other words, it's going to be a very limited coverage, 30,000, 50,000, whatever you choose. And then what happens is, while you have that insurance, once you go through the insurance company's coverage, now you're responsible. So how do we stand? We have to stand in court. We have to be responsible. Where do we get the money from? Well, like you mentioned, maybe setting up a group. There are other people that are talking about how there's ways to get the funds you need to pay for your responsibilities. And I'm not going to delve into that today, but there are other ways to get the funds to actually pay for it that's legal, ethical, and moral. And Rick, thank you for the information you're sharing with all of us today. I've looked at a number of your videos over the years and really appreciate you, brother.
Well, I thank you. And listen, there's a lot more that's been hidden. I'll tell you that. A lot of
I agree.
videos are excommunicated. If you know what I mean.
I do. Yeah, there is a whole lot of censoring going on in the world today. No doubt about it. And
Bet your biscuits.
And we need to appreciate that. And again, thank Clint for setting this up so we can all put some ideas together and actually listen to each other. And if anybody who hasn't gone to the Constitutional Law Group's website, the link is in the chat. Do it. It is a wealth of information. And, Rick, I put a little donation there in there for you guys so you can keep the site going as well as supporting us. And if you have an extra $1 or $2, give them a donation.
Well,
there's
I
lots
thank
of
you for that.
lots of documentation there
really
that you
do.
can
I thank you
download
for that.
absolutely for free. You do not have to pay for it, but they definitely need the support for the things that they're doing for us at no charge. There's no cost.
I'm a man of my word, always have been, always will be. I don't charge for my time. Never have. Now, granted, I was independently wealthy and your wonderful government decided that they didn't want me to be wealthy anymore. So if you remember, Dr. Dave Martin and I just got nailed for millions. They don't like us. They don't like what we have to say. But we're here for you guys. Because we answer to our creator. We don't answer to you. We don't answer to our government. We answer to our creator. And until that day comes, I'm going to continue doing what I do. Dr. Dave Martin, Dr. Judy Molkovich are all going to continue this fight because we love America and we love us people. And ignorance is not bliss, it's God blessed dangerous. And to live in ignorance is not where I want to be, nor do I want my fellow man. As I said earlier, and I'm getting really long-winded, we are our brother's keepers. And if anybody says different, go ahead, show me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we've got a few more minutes. If anyone else would like to have a question or make a comment, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll unmute your mic and see what you got. How about you're back,
Hey,
Darlene?
I love comments. I love comments.
Okay.
Clint, you got to remember, I love comments.
Okay. I bet there are a lot here. Go ahead. Usually people aren't that shy. Go ahead, Darlene.
Hey, sorry to bother you guys again.
You're not bothering us one iota.
I wanted to make a point to Rick that I went and received my certification under Ohio's Attorney General for open public records requests. I've done probably close to 1,000 record requests and maybe gotten a handful of those denied. Well, one of the requests I did was for Ohio's Bureau of Motor Vehicles. We have a registrar. His name is Charles Norman. Now, I requested his bond, his oath, insurance, everything. And I got all that. I received it all. After I got it all, I got a hold of the insurance company by email. I did all this by email. So I got hold of the insurance company. After I got a hold of the insurance company, they made a statement back to me. The reply was that I had no standing. Yeah, to go after anything after that for that bond.
See me hitting timeout?
Yes, sir.
You have to have a valid claim. Okay, so you need to make a valid claim to how he was personally, get that? He was personally liable. And we get into that. I'm sure Clint, his team does the same on how to make him personally liable. Okay, and that's where you're at right now, is you have not made a valid claim against this gentleman yet. Now, that does not mean it's not possible. It is extremely possible, by his influence that he influenced others, and he is down line held accountable for his influence.
I did do the claims. I submitted them to, actually, I called it claims and complaint. And I submitted it to the insurance company. That's when the insurance company responded to me, but they also referred me to go to who is Ohio Risk Management. So I submitted the complaint and the claims to Risk Management. They replied back with permission to sue letter under Ohio's Court of Claims. And that's where I'm stopped at right now.
Let me ask you this. Did you respond, or actually not respond? Did you inform them in the form of a sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury?
Oh, no, nope.
Now you need to do that, and I'll explain why. Because they can only rebut. Clint, back me up on this one. Is they can only rebut under an affidavit of perjury. That's where you hold their feet to the fire. Any other rebuttal outside a sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury is nonsense. They need to hold their position with a sworn affidavit. Other than that, anything that they say is nonsense, because they need to hold themselves up to the same position you hold yourself up under penalty of perjury. If you're a liar, they have to prove you're a liar under a sworn affidavit. And if they're not willing to do that, you go and seek a summary judgment against them. Any unrebutted affidavit deserves, and a judge cannot rule against you. You go into that courtroom, you file a claim against that insurance company, whoever you're going after, and ask for a summary judgment showing that they never rebutted your affidavit, and your affidavit stands as fact in law. And that affidavit, a judge cannot rule against.
Right.
You're asking for a summary judgment.
Gotcha.
Pay me my damages.
Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. That's a beautiful strategy. Elegant. All right. So we've got just a minute or two. I guess we can go ahead and go toward the end of our call together. 2 hours went by really fast as usual. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again in a month. The first Tuesday of January 2023 is the 3rd. And we'll be at the exact same time, same link. I put the registration link in case you want to share it with your friends. Invite all your friends to come join us. We're here to talk about primarily the right to travel, but it connects up with so many other topics, as you saw tonight. It doesn't exist in isolation. It really, the same schemes, the same cabal, the same globalists, the same people operating, have a whole bunch of different things that they do to us, and those kind of topics do end up getting talked about somewhat too. But yeah, we want to be able to travel freely, just the way God designed it, and so that's what we're here for. And I want to thank David Rodriguez for being my co-host, my buddy and my brother, and all the other brothers and sisters here. Maybe we can make some kind of a prayer or bring some blessings upon us, because boy, do we need it collectively. And I could use always good grace, God's grace in my life. So I do wish you all the best. I pray for all of you tonight, that God, intervene in your life, and the Holy Spirit as well, to correct us as we need along their path, keep us on the straight and narrow. So if anybody else wants to join in my prayer, please go ahead as we head out on this wonderful evening.
Well, God bless your prayer.
I'll
And
go ahead.
let me
Yeah,
throw
go ahead,
in
Rick.
this. I need everybody to step up to the plate and look into who our founding fathers looked to for guidance, other than God himself. I want you to look into Algernon Sidney. Algernon Sidney. Let me explain something about him. He was an aristocrat. And he was exiled because he went against the King of England to Italy. He spent years studying law. He was actually devising the overthrow of England. There it is. Thank you. Algernon Sidney. He was looking at overthrowing England. And when he was brought back to England, ladies and gentlemen, keep aware of this. All he had to do was take back everything he said against the king, and he would not have been hung. He would not back off or back down about what he said as being fact and truth. He wasn't going to betray his own manhood and God. And if you guys have read anything, you'll see he had the opportunity. He had the opportunity to save his own God-blessed life by betraying his commitment to we the people. He was hung. You look at William Wallace of Scotland. He could have saved his life if he would have taken back what he said against the crown. He refused to do so, and therefore he was dismembered. Look for heroes, but I'm going to ask you this. Look for the hero in yourself. Look for the hero in yourself and stand against the tyranny that is upon us today. Don't look to me. I can give you law. I can give you evidence. I can give you all this nonsense. But until we, the people, stand in unison against the tyranny that we have allowed to overcome us, until we stand in unison, America's going to be lost. And I don't think any of us wants that for our posterity, our offspring. We've lived a fruitful life. For us to continue living a fruitful life, we must stand in unison against a government secondary to God and say no more. Tyranny does not exist on my platitude. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, God bless Clint. God bless
Yes.
David for
Thank you,
bringing this
Rick.
forward.
Thank you.
I'm
man.
I'm a pain in the ass, but you guys got to do pain in the ass
Yeah.
because
you're a fighter, Rick.
I'm an
Go
asshole.
ahead.
You know
Well,
what?
you're fierce and you're
I-
powerful. Yeah.
Listen, I call it what it is, and I see Michelle still on here. Michelle will tell you exactly what I am. And I don't back off and I don't back down. I'm a dog with God blessed frisbee. And I expect you, David, Clint, to get this information out there that we, the people, can stand in unison. As I said earlier, 2 seconds ago. If not us, who? If not us, who's going to stand for the rights
No, it's
of
us for sure.
our offspring?
No, it's us. We know that. Yeah, we know that, man, for sure. We're the chosen ones, or we're the, blessed, or blessed with the burden, whatever it's called. Our experiences. Everybody on this call right now, December 6th, 2022, has got here. And you said scamdemic earlier. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And we were calling it out at the very beginning because there's these financial forces, but they were afraid of an individual force called the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. Thank you for bringing up Algernon Sidney. Never heard of this guy. But what he was fighting for 350 years ago is what we're fighting for now, which is speak your truth and live your life. But now we got the internet and we got this type of technology. So I am white pilled myself. I do believe the future is bright, but these predator psychopaths are going to try to do this more. So say again, they won't.
Listen, where we stand right now is Satan is going to play. And until you call it red pill, white pill, whatever, I'm going to call it is what it is. We, the people, have the authority and the responsibility to end it. And until we do, until we act unified, and I said earlier, county by county. I taught that to Rick Mack, is county by county. We take back one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's simple. County by county. It is your duty as a man or woman to question your representatives, your legislature, by what authority are you pursuing? And until we, the people, hold each and every one of those people that we put in office accountable to that oath of office, they think they're bigger than we are. I disagree. I believe that men like you, men like Clint, women like Michelle can and will hold public servants accountable to their oath of office. And the fact that they don't buy into the PACs and the money that comes across them from dead entities, which are called corporations. Now, I want you guys all to do a homework project Corporations were only allowed to exist for 10 years under the original Constitution. Look at it. And if they violated the public trust, they were done. They were done. They didn't exist. Look into corporate law. We, the people, are not dead entities. Corporations are. This whole thing about all caps name and changing our status. Let me take the time before we close. Changing your status is nonsense. I'll repeat that. Changing our status to a U.S. national whatever is nonsense. Nonsense. You're falling into another trap. Falling into another trap. I've been trying to teach you guys this for a long time. I am a man.
I will
My
take
word is my bond. Call me a liar.
I get it. My word is my bond. No need to change your status. I'm taking you up on your offer for the homework. And I thank you for all of your blessings. And that's our time for tonight, everyone. So thank you, everyone, for being here once again, and we'll see you in a month. Have a great evening.
And it takes us being belligerent to take back our rights. We have given up our rights because we have been complacent. Realize 56 men signed the Declaration of Independence. 9 of them died of their wounds on the battlefield. 5 of them were captured and taken back to Britain, where they were tortured to the end of the war. The majority of the signers, wives and offspring, were murdered. Each and every one of them pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor not to violate the public trust. And I walk into courtrooms and I deal with judges, prosecutors, and police officers that have violated that quickly their oath of office. I will take dangerous freedom over peaceful servitude. And it takes us being belligerent to take back our